Indonesia is truly a unique nation, where it is difficult to find anything comparable in terms of the combination of its historical past, rich cultural traditions, and natural wonders. In this country, scattered across a territory covering approximately 17,000 islands, an entire universe of mysteries and secrets unfolds, many of which remain hidden in the shadows, inaccessible to outsiders. Over the centuries, myths and real facts, living legends and ancient customs have intertwined here, creating a small universe where the past and present walk hand in hand, forming an astonishing dance of time. Possessing this continent seems like opening a door into the unknown, because most travelers, upon arriving in Indonesia, usually focus only on a few of the most famous and popular islands, such as Bali or Java, missing out on a whole palette of enigmas and treasures hidden in its depths and peripheral regions. The question of what exactly lies within this archipelago's depths continues to bother numerous explorers, travelers, and simply curious individuals. After all, in these land expanses, at least 700 languages and dialects are spoken, which in itself is a phenomenon worthy of careful study and reflection. What ancient rituals, ceremonies, and customs have survived on these distant islands, where one can still encounter local residents who believe in the supernatural and possess knowledge passed down through generations? For example, some island tribes still preserve rituals dating back more than 4,000 years, seemingly frozen in amber of time, as if cut through the ages, maintaining their power and mystery. And although Indonesia ranks among the top Muslim countries in the world in terms of population, in its remote corners, shamanic rituals, magical rites, and ceremonies are still practiced, which can shock and surprise Europeans with their frank peculiarity. In one place, you can learn about procedures for summoning ancestral spirits, and in another, see cults associated with veneration of earthly elements and mysterious beings. Some of these practices include excavating dead bodies to communicate with spirits and continue dialogue with the departed, which seems incredible to Western minds. But in certain regions, it is a normal and routine part of life. Our journey through Indonesia's cultural iceberg will allow us to delve into its unusual traditions, cults, and beliefs, revealing phenomena rarely mentioned in travel guides and scientific articles. What lies beneath the surface of this mysterious country, hidden in its depths and enigmatic corners? The archipelago, dubbed the Mysterious World, is a land lost between two great oceans, which in turn represent one of the first secrets of this place. Part 2 of 25. Imagine 17,000 islands, like precious stones scattered by the hand of an ancient titan across the azure surface of the oceans, dispersed in space and time as a testament to bygone eras. It is astonishing that only about 6,000 of them are inhabited, while the rest continue to guard their secrets, remaining inaccessible to modern humans, hidden deep within tropical jungles and mountain ranges. What mysteries lie hidden in these uncharted, still unknown lands, where no foot of civilization has yet trod? What ancient traces and artifacts could tell us about past cultures that have faded with time, and what secrets do their overgrown ruins conceal? What might an impenetrable jungle wilderness, full of mysterious stone monuments and enigmatic anomalies left by ancient peoples, look like? Indonesia is the largest island nation in the world, stretching 5,000 kilometers from west to east, roughly the distance from sunny Lisbon to the Golden Dome, Moscow. Such a vast expanse creates an incredible diversity of natural zones, climates, ecosystems, and cultural traditions, each with its own unique history and characteristics. In the west of the country, one can observe ancient Buddhist temples preserved from the times of ancient India, while in the east, tribes living according to the laws of the Stone Age preserve customs and beliefs rooted in a distant epoch. Local residents claim that some remote islands contain power spots, where the laws of physics are broken and time flows differently than in ordinary conditions. Visitors and researchers speak of mysterious magnetic anomalies, inexplicable light phenomena, and sensations of the presence of something ancient, mighty, and incomprehensible, as if nature itself, spirits, or the Earth's depths guard their secrets right beneath one's feet. These phenomena could arise from natural causes related to the region's tectonic activity, as well as from more supernatural explanations tied to earth magic and mystical forces. Some scientists hypothesize that Indonesia's unique geographical position, located at the junction of several major tectonic plates, creates special energy fields capable of influencing both human perception and even the flow of time. These assumptions are based on the fact that islands in this region are situated in a zone of heightened seismic activity, which, according to some researchers, might foster the formation of particularly strong energy structures. They suggest that such phenomena could be intensified by natural factors such as major volcanic eruptions, geomagnetic changes, and anomalies in magnetic fields, which in turn affect the psyche and consciousness of those present in this area. An important aspect is the fact that such energy fields can manifest through unusual perceptions, altered states of consciousness, and even sensations comparable to distortions of time and space. Many researchers tend to associate these mysterious phenomena with ancient cultures and rituals that have been practiced here for thousands of years. In this context, the island of Bali stands out particularly on the world map as a place where esoteric knowledge and immutable secrets of the past are believed to be hidden, shrouded in numerous legends and mystical stories. As is often the case in such instances, the truth remains elusive and cannot be precisely determined. It slips beyond the shadowy and dense canopy of the tropical forests, concealed within ancient caves and secluded, inaccessible locations. Another important fact is that Bali is not just a charming island in the Indonesian archipelago, but in essence a gateway to the mysterious and mystical world of Indonesia. This archipelago is rich with many extraordinary sights, steeped in history and legends. However, for many travelers, especially those arriving from Russia and post-Soviet countries, Bali has become a kind of jewel, a symbol and a calling card of the region. Framed by legends and mystical traditions, it is a place that local residents deeply respect and revere as the island of gods and the island of 1,000 temples. Every year, millions of tourists and spiritual seekers visit here, people eager to discover something greater than just enjoying sunny beaches or conquering the waves of famous surf spots. They seek in this place a special energy, a breath of antiquity and spiritual heritage unique to this land. But what lies behind the bright posters depicting endless beaches with white sand, shimmering surf waves, and majestic temple complexes vividly captured in tourist photographs? What is the true essence of Balinese culture, which represents a unique synthesis of Hindu, animist, and ancient beliefs, blending to create an astonishing and authentic spiritual ecosystem? In this system, every grain of land, every tree, and spring is considered to embody spiritual forces and has its own guardian spirits. Local priests known as Pimet still perform ancient rituals whose roots go deep into the centuries and date back to times when modern religions did not yet exist, and secret knowledge was passed down from generation to generation. Researchers note vague, sometimes inexplicable phenomena associated with Bali. Many visitors tell of strange changes in their perception of time and space, extraordinary insights, and even encounters with phenomena that cannot be comprehended with ordinary logic. Encounters that happen precisely in the sacred places of this island. It is possible that these are manifestations of a special energy that permeates this place, which may be related to the intersection of ancient lines of power, so-called energy threads that run underground and on the surface. Some esotericists suggest that these phenomena are the result of unique natural factors, the presence of volcanic activity, high air ionization, and magnetic fields that create favorable conditions for achieving higher levels of consciousness. Anthropologists also attempt to explain these mysteries, believing that such experiences may largely have a psychological origin, reflecting the spiritual and cultural environment in which the individual exists. Nevertheless, even they acknowledge that something extraordinary occurs in Bali, something that makes one believe in invisible forces that govern and shape the peculiarities of this place. Surprisingly, for most travelers, Bali remains merely a starting point, the beginning of an incredible journey through the vast world of Indonesia, rich with countless islands, each holding its own secrets and legends, waiting for their explorers. Many are entirely unaware of the existence of numerous other islands, each an independent mystery holding unexplored secrets that have long awaited a brave seeker. The third fact pertains to a phenomenon, Indonesia's fire ring. This is land where nature seems inspired by the most ancient gods, creating astonishing, sometimes fantastical landscapes filled with flame and magma. In this region, the Earth's surface almost breathes fire and ash, and during eruptions, the land erupts lava that streams like fiery rivers. If Bali is merely the gateway to the amazing and mysterious world of Indonesia, then what lies beyond these gates? What secrets do the depths of this fire arc conceal, and what awaits those daring enough to venture beyond the known and familiar terrestrial horizons? As we delve into the depths of this enigmatic archipelago, we begin to understand that behind all its beautiful and fertile landscapes lies a complex and unique part of our planet, the fiery heart of the Earth, which beats in this region. Beneath the bright, shimmering tropical forests and golden beaches lie hundreds of volcanoes, according to recent data numbering around 115 active volcanoes, continually threatening to erupt and broadcasting their might to the world. Their proportion among all active volcanoes on Earth is nearly 17%, that is, more than 6%, and all are concentrated within a single country. This fact is astonishing in its scale and demonstrates how special and unique this point on the world map truly is, as if it chose itself as the site of the final confrontation of ancient forces, titans and gods, who somehow decided, through a kind of magic, to settle here, leaving their mark on history forever. Local residents have lived for centuries in the shadow of these sleeping and smoking giants, not fearing their threats, but, on the contrary, accepting them as part of their life and cultural fabric. They built temples at the foot of these volcanoes, venerating them as sacred sites, not merely as natural formations, but as dwellings of fiery deities sleeping in craters and smoky peaks. These legends and myths passed down through generations carry a special connection between humans and the element, where fire and earth are perceived not only as dangerous forces, but also as sources of inspiration, strength, and wisdom. What then keeps people at this dangerous yet incredibly alluring boundary between the everyday and peril? Perhaps one of the key reasons is the extremely fertile soil, rich in minerals and nutrients, formed through millennia of carefully regulated volcanic activity. It is this soil that makes these lands some of the most productive in the world, enabling farmers to harvest abundant crops and creating conditions for prosperity. The people living here, farmers whose skill and patience allow them to literally turn volcanic earth into food for their families and communities, feel a profound connection to this natural phenomenon. Nevertheless, behind all this may lie something much more mystical and mysterious. It is a special spiritual bond that many find incomprehensible from the perspective of modern science. As in these places, individuals sense their belonging to inexplicable forces of nature, to a secret element that has remained a mystery for scientists both now and for centuries. Human history is full of evidence that events related to volcanoes often hold fateful significance. For example, on April 25, 1815, a catastrophe occurred, the eruption of Mount Tambora on Sumbawa Island. This powerful explosion was so intense that its ash reached the atmosphere in huge volumes, spreading across the entire world and causing severe cooling and climate changes. The so-called year without a summer became one of the most tragic moments in history. As a result of this global cooling, harvests decreased, famine ensued, and waves of disease and epidemics swept through various countries in Europe and America. This eruption served as a powerful reminder of how destructive volcanic activity can be and how vital it is for the planet's stability. Part 6 of 25. Despite the global catastrophe they caused, the people living on these islands did not abandon their land and did not cease to perceive periodic eruptions as part of the natural cycle, consciously or subconsciously understanding that it is through these trials that the world is renewed. An enduring and unique attitude towards volcanic activity has developed across the archipelago. This is a culture of coexistence in which eruptions and natural calamities are regarded not as disasters, but as manifestations of divine will and a natural aspect of life. As a result, for example, Indonesians have cultivated a deeply ingrained and psychologically resilient attitude towards the danger that permeates their daily life. Researchers note that the constant presence of threat shapes a particular kind of consciousness in which the boundaries between life and death, creation and destruction, become blurred or erased. Perhaps this mental trait is the key to why these people are so deeply connected to their environment. Their intuition and wisdom enable them to remain calm during the most dangerous moments. And what if this ancient, seemingly paradoxical wisdom of the cultures of this region contains the crucial lesson for humanity? A lesson on how to properly perceive the shifts of natural forces and ecological upheavals, especially as our planet enters an era of global climate change. Another intriguing aspect of the mystery is the so-called Islamic paradox, where ancient legends and beliefs hybridize images of ancient spirits that seem to dance alongside prophets, uniting different worldviews and traditions. Yet Indonesia's most astonishing feature is not only its volcanic nature, but also the extraordinary spiritual mosaic that has formed within its territory. How did the world's most populous Muslim country, with a population of over 230 million, develop its own distinctive, syncretic form of Islam amid a multitude of diverse religious and cultural influences? Travelers often encounter cultural shock upon first arriving. Familiar notions of Islam, shaped in the Middle East, collide with vivid, rich cultural nuances embedded with local traditions and beliefs. In this country, Islam has acquired unique characteristics, incorporating elements of animist beliefs, Hindu and Buddhist traditions, creating a special spiritual landscape unique to this region. In villages located in the central part of Java, one can observe how ancient rituals and legends, intertwined with Islamic faith, continue to live and evolve, producing a remarkable synthesis. These communities, teetering between tradition and modernity, demonstrate an exceptionally rich spiritual diversity that often surprises and even shocks those arriving with conventional notions of religion and culture. In the depths of Indonesian culture and spiritual life, there exists a remarkable and complex phenomenon that is difficult to explain within conventional religious frameworks or traditional canon. Specifically on the islands of the archipelago, home to numerous peoples and language groups, Muslim ceremonies are often intertwined with ancient shamanic rituals and rites rooted in pre-Islamic times. These ceremonies are frequently accompanied by dances and offerings associated with reverence for nature spirits, all occurring simultaneously with Islamic prayers. How can such harmony exist, considering that Islam is traditionally regarded as a strictly monotheistic religion that rejects any pagan practices? This paradox captures the keen interest of many scholars and anthropologists, who refer to this phenomenon as Evan Islam or Nusantara Islam. It represents a unique type of religion characterized by gentleness, inclusivity, and a capacity for constant adaptation, as well as synthesis of various traditions and beliefs, forming a distinctive religious plasticity. In remote villages located in inaccessible and often nearly abandoned corners of the archipelago, shamanic healing methods, called dukun by local residents, are still practiced. These shamans employ ancient ritual techniques that are passed down through generations, while simultaneously incorporating Islamic prayers and other religious formulas into their rites, creating a special symbiosis of ancient and new practices living in harmony. In urban environments where life changes rapidly, modern Indonesians, especially members of the business elite, do not abandon their spiritual roots, attending Friday prayers with all the traditional Muslim attributes, and participating in ceremonies associated with ancestor reverence, which are considered an essential part of their culture. This symbiosis, merging seemingly opposing elements, helps sustain this complex system of beliefs, preventing it from collapsing or dissolving. What is the secret behind this phenomenon? It seems that the key to understanding lies in the unique worldview of Indonesians, for whom the spiritual reality has never been one-sided or monochromatic. To them, it is multi-layered, resembling the very nature of the rich archipelago where the ocean meets the land and volcanoes suddenly rise from the tropical forests, creating an unparalleled picture of the world. Such perception helps explain that religion in these regions is not a strict and fixed system of dogmas, but a living, flexible, and evolving structure capable of embracing new elements while remaining true to its roots. Researchers who study the religious practices of this region note the remarkable resilience of Islamic currents, which persist even in the face of global fundamentalist ideologies imposed from outside. For several centuries, Islam in Indonesia has maintained its uniqueness, a distinctive character that sets it apart from more rigid and conservative forms. This phenomenon is often explained by the idea that religion is not simply imposed from outside, but undergoes a process of adaptation, preserving its inner integrity even when encountering new cultural conditions. Some theologians see this as an example of how true faith is capable of evolving and embracing local characteristics without losing its core essence and fundamental principles. Others believe that such spiritual flexibility reflects the profound wisdom of the Indonesian approach to faith, which implies harmony between the old and the new, tradition and modernity. This approach involves not abandoning past rituals, but integrating them, thus creating a coherent and resilient system that functions in harmony with the surrounding nature and people. However, the question remains open. Is the phenomenon of syncretism in Indonesia's religious sphere merely a temporary historical occurrence shaped by the specifics of a particular time and place? Or does it offer a developmental path for other religious traditions in the modern world, where intercultural interaction and mutual influence are becoming the norm? This issue sparks lively debate among scholars and theologians. It is also important to emphasize that Indonesia itself is not only a country with a unique cultural and historical heritage, but also a true linguistic paradise. Essentially, over 700 languages and dialects are spoken here, making the archipelago one of the most linguistically diverse places in the world. Each island is like its own universe, with unusual sounds, intonations, and traditional forms of communication. While the official language of the country is Indonesian, Bahasa Indonesia, specially created to unite numerous ethnic groups into a single state, in every corner of the archipelago, one can hear the voices of indigenous peoples preserving their languages and traditions. Unfortunately, many of these languages are under threat of extinction. In some regions, only a few remaining speakers, custodians of a unique culture, practice these languages and pass them down from generation to generation. What is especially concerning is how a language containing a unique worldview and rich history can be on the verge of complete disappearance. After all, language is not only a means of communication, but also a system of perceiving the surrounding reality, which shapes unique worldviews transmitted through words, grammar, and traditional customs. For example, on Sumatra, the Mendos language is still in use, while on Java, the Javanese language prevails. Each of these languages carries a layer of the people's history, their values, their perceptions of the world, and humanity's place within it. Thus, surviving languages are not only cultural treasures, but also vital keys to understanding the deep spiritual and social characteristics of the region. It is not just the richness of linguistic diversity that can be observed across Indonesia. This unique complex of languages reflects the multifaceted and layered identity of the people inhabiting these islands. As a result of centuries of historical processes, each of the hundreds of languages and dialects widely spoken in the archipelago symbolizes, to varying degrees, a distinct cultural tradition and a live memory of bygone eras. Despite their apparent fragmentation and multitude, these languages and dialects are united by one important quality: they're striving to preserve cultural roots and national unity. They are like diverse colors on a rich palette, creating a unique picture of the world in which every shade matters. It can be said that this linguistic wealth is the very link that binds numerous ethnic groups within this multicultural nation. In the face of globalization, one of the main challenges is to avoid losing this rich linguistic heritage. After all, it is not only a symbol of cultural identity, but also a valuable legacy and reflection of centuries-old traditions, values, and customs. The question that remains behind the scenes is whether this unique linguistic inheritance can be preserved, or if it will fade under the pressure of standardization and the dominance of more widespread languages. It is possible that over time, it will recede into the shadow of global communication, giving way to international channels of interaction. Indonesia is not only a country with incredible cultural and linguistic diversity, but also a land that has preserved and continues to preserve astonishing natural wonders, impressing everyone who explores it more closely. Among these enchanting phenomena are the Komodo dragons, sometimes called the dragons of Komodo Island. These giant lizards are living witnesses of ancient times, preserved thanks to their resilience and adaptability. They can reach 3 meters in length and weigh over 70 kilograms, making them truly formidable creatures that evoke both admiration and awe. Their giant jaws and sharp teeth are not only weapons allowing them to hunt, but also important relics, reminding us of the prehistoric world, eras when such beings ruled their territory. The bite of a Komodo dragon is something far more serious than it initially seems. Its danger lies not only in the strength and power of this lizard, but also in the unique properties of its saliva, rich in bacteria capable of causing death to its prey. Local residents living nearby, well aware of the nature of these reptiles, treat them with respect, sometimes with trepidation and fear. They claim that a single bite from this majestic and dangerous creature can kill even a large buffalo. And this is not a myth, but a harsh reality confirmed by time, history, and personal observations. These lizards are unique remnants of ancient eras, surviving to this day despite all the changes that the planet has undergone. They retain the traits of their ancestors and were able to adapt to life on the limited islands, such as Komodo, Rinca, and Flores. Each of these places is a true mystery of nature, characterized by its unique climate, terrain, and ecological conditions. Lost in the shadows of tropical forests or on silent, deserted beaches, the Komodo dragons methodically stalk their prey, demonstrating incredible hunting skills and adaptability. It is fascinating how these living witnesses of evolution manage to survive in such a challenging environment and resist global climate changes, as well as the growing impact of humans. Every year, the number of tourists eager to witness these ancient creatures in their natural habitat increases. However, such a flow of people often threatens their existence, as human interference, even with good intentions, can harm and disrupt natural processes. Komodo crows are yet another mysterious inhabitants of these islands. They play an important role in the ecosystem, and their behavior remains partly a mystery to scientists. Admiring their adaptability and characteristics naturally makes one ponder how little we still understand about the world around us and how much remains undiscovered. These relic birds, preserving traits of their ancient ancestors, serve as a reminder of nature's fragility and resilience, and foster an understanding that our actions can either help preserve them or lead to their disappearance. Whether humanity will be able to protect them in the coming years remains an open question. Indonesia is not just an archipelago with numerous islands. It is a true treasure trove of living nature, one of the most diverse countries in the world, truly inheriting the richest natural and cultural layers. About 10% of all known species of flowering plants, 12% of mammals, 16% of reptiles and amphibians, and 17% of all birds live in this country. Such incredible biodiversity makes it especially unique and attractive to scientists, travelers, and nature enthusiasts. The Indonesian islands are home to rare and unique animal species that captivate the imagination, such as hybrids and primitive ecosystem representatives, orangutans living on Sumatra and Borneo. These mammals are regional icons, attracting interest not only from researchers, but also from tourists seeking to experience pristine nature. Their charisma, mysterious magic, and direct connection to distant eras make them symbols cherished by those who value wild nature and its unparalleled beauty. Their lives are full of mysteries and secrets that continue to intrigue scientists and passionate explorers. How they existed and adapted in constantly changing environmental conditions remains a subject of discussion and wonder to this day. It is quite possible that within these mysterious organisms lie ancient knowledge and the most profound secrets connected to nature and the surrounding forests. Perhaps these creations carry a legacy from ancient times, passing from generation to generation. True custodians of forgotten knowledge about branching trees, mysterious plants, and hidden powers. One cannot help but wonder how they manage to withstand such harsh conditions as their environment is constantly changing. Climatic conditions grow more severe, and competition among species becomes increasingly fierce. In these conditions, they demonstrate remarkable resilience and adaptability, inspiring awe and reverence. Equally enigmatic are the Javan rhinoceroses, giants that continue to roam the dense forests of this island on the brink of extinction. These majestic animals, whose appearance and form resemble the grandeur of nature long past, evoke not only admiration for their strength and beauty, but also deep reflection on how such large and unique members of the animal kingdom manage to survive when many species disappear forever. Roaming among trees and thickets, they seem to embody fearlessness and elegance, evoking a sense of trepidation and respect in humans. Nearby dwell the Arowana dwarf buffaloes, astonishing creatures that, like living reminders of bygone eras and losses, raise even more questions about how they manage to be preserved and what underpins their existence. These miniature buffaloes, inhabiting remote islands, symbolize the value we can and must preserve amid the growing challenges of modern times. Their existence underscores the importance of protecting rare and endangered species, since each of these ecosystems is a whole world with its own rules and traditions. The study of Indonesia's rich and diverse ecosystems continues unwaveringly and constantly. The mysterious forests and pristine seas of this region are still full of unexplored secrets awaiting discovery. Every expedition, every new discovery, strengthens our understanding of how complex and astonishing this biodiverse corner of the planet truly is. Secrets stored in the depths of jungles and oceans deserve to be unraveled and preserved for future generations. We face the task not only of understanding what lies behind the veil of mystique and secrecy, but also of ensuring that these natural treasures remain inaccessible to destruction and eradication. 80% of the world's biodiversity is concentrated in this region, and this fact must not be overlooked, for losing it would mean losing invaluable knowledge and unique natural objects that cannot be seen anywhere else on the planet. Therefore, every exploration, every step deeper into these places, is a contribution to preserving unique ecosystems and rich cultural traditions. And yet, even today, many unknown aspects of these riches remain hidden in their shadows and depths. Who knows how many more secrets are kept in the heart of these forests and ocean depths, waiting for their moment to be revealed to every sincere and passionate explorer. The question of what else can be discovered in these mysterious corners of nature remains unanswered. But one thing is clear: many unforeseen discoveries and astonishing findings await us, which will change our understanding of this world. Here is yet another intriguing aspect that leads us to reflect on the cultural heritage of this region. Located in the Indonesian archipelago is a unique and remarkable cultural treasure tied to an ancient cuisine, which has been a true magic spell woven from spicy aromas and a blend of numerous traditions since ancient times. Indonesian cuisine is not just a collection of dishes. It is a real musical ensemble of flavors and scents in which each dish plays its own unique role, creating a harmonious combination. Many centuries ago, this cuisine was shaped under the influence of various cultures that intersected here through the ages: Arab, Indian, Chinese, European, and Dutch. As a result, a culinary palette was formed across the land, rich with extraordinary tastes and aromas, adopted and transformed according to local traditions and preferences. Main dishes such as nasi goreng, the fragrant spiced rice, fried rice, the traditional mee goreng, appetizing fried noodles, and satay, meat skewers on wooden sticks, and rendang, braised meat, captivated the hearts and stomachs of locals and tourists alike. These dishes have become symbols of Indonesian gastronomy, reflecting the richness and diversity of regional cultures intertwined on this archipelago. The variety of flavors and cooking techniques is astonishing, from the bright and spicy notes of Java, with its flavorful sauces and spices, to the softer, sweeter nuances of Bali, where one can feel a profound harmony and serenity with every bite. However, all this beauty and elegance of culinary traditions conceal even more unexplored aspects. Why are the largest supplies of precious spices, such as nutmeg and cloves, gathered precisely in this region? These artificial and natural spices are stories of great maritime voyages and trading expeditions that reach their peak here, on the islands. Over centuries, these aromatic and valuable spices attracted merchants from around the world, becoming a crucial commodity in international trade, and their presence continues to make the region a center of spice markets and business meetings. Indonesian culinary masters skillfully combine complex flavor palettes, creating exquisite culinary masterpieces capable of impressing even the most discerning gourmets and connoisseurs. But the secrets of their recipes diagrams are not limited to this. Each country, each settlement here, guards its unique secrets and secret recipes, passed down orally from generation to generation. Why are some dishes served with a sweet sauce, while others are accompanied by a sour one? Why is a particular spice used in certain regions, while a completely different one is favored in others? There are more than enough questions, and each leads to new mysteries and discoveries. The world of Indonesian cuisine is full of secrets waiting for their moment to be revealed, and every time we get closer to the answer, we realize that this fascinating labyrinth becomes even more tangled and rich. Are there still untold stories and hidden masterpieces buried deep within the recipes and traditions? And what else can we learn as we uncover new pages of this rich cultural heritage, shaped over centuries, the wealth of which is truly impressive and whose secrets are unknowably alluring? These questions continue to occupy our minds, inviting us to embark on an intriguing and mysterious journey into the world of Indonesian traditions and beliefs. Among them is the ninth fact concerning a unique religious system established on the island of Bali, Balinese Hinduism. This religion is not merely a set of rites or beliefs, it represents a complex and multifaceted art that permeates every aspect of a Balinese person's life in minute detail. It is astonishing how this system arose, maintaining its individuality and diverging from Indian traditions. Its roots and formation remain subjects of thought and research. Bali is a remarkable island, surrounded by azure ocean waters and rich in history, culture, and mystical secrets. Its architecture, customs, traditional rituals, and even culinary practices are imbued with religious aspects. Balinese people create intricate systems of daily offerings, carefully prepared and emphasizing reverence to gods, ancestor spirits, and even demons. These offerings, which include lush bouquets of flowers, neatly arranged rice, and juicy fruits, are not casual gestures, but represent a vital part of their everyday life. They are placed in the most unexpected locations, in temples, doorsteps, alleys, and at altars, with particular precision and aesthetic sense. But what exactly lies behind such lavish and unusual rituals? Why do Balinese dedicate so much time and resources to actions that may seem endless to many? The answers to these questions are deeply rooted in their culture and worldview. The architecture of temples, majestically rising in various parts of the island, is not just magnificent construction, they serve as carriers of ancient knowledge and secrets. Each temple, with its exquisite carvings and numerous statues of deities, is like an open book, with each page telling its unique story. Local residents believe that through these sacred sites, they are able to maintain a connection with higher powers, linking them to the divine origin. That is why their homes resemble miniature temple complexes, where every element is imbued with sacred meaning and deep respect for the spiritual world. How can one explain such a strong connection between humans and the divine? Why are these particular rites and ceremonies considered so vital for maintaining that connection? Every celebration and festival is not merely a ritual, but a theatrical performance filled with vibrant colors, lively music, fiery dances, and emotional intensity. Ultimately, can these religious rituals truly change a person's fate or the destiny of an entire community? How much energy, faith, and sincere devotion do the people of Bali invest in them? And what is the true significance of these traditions in their lives? These and many other questions open a door to the mysteries that attract researchers and travelers eager to understand the fundamental foundations of Bali Hinduism. But is there anything else in this ancient religious tradition that remains unexplained? How much more do we have to learn about the spiritual world governed by this mysterious system of beliefs? And how can that knowledge help us better understand people, their values, and their connection to the divine in everyday life? Moving on to the 10th fact, which offers us a glimpse into the mystical and fascinating tradition existing among the Terada tribe, when we speak about the very heart of Indonesian land, the island of Sulawesi. In this remote and enigmatic part of the archipelago, there is an unusual custom attracting increasing attention from scholars and curious travelers from all over the world. Every few years, representatives of the Tirada tribe perform a special, sacred ritual act that at first glance may seem strange and astonishing. They exhumate the bodies of their deceased relatives, dress them in fresh, clean clothes, and walk them around the village as if they are still alive and continue to participate in daily life. This extraordinary practice raises numerous questions. How can they handle the dead so easily? What are their internal states and understanding of death and life after death? Why is death not seen by the Tirada people as a final event, but merely one of many moments along their long journey? In their culture, death is perceived as a complex and multifaceted process, not as a one-time event that happens at a specific moment. In their view, death is not only a departure from this world, but also a continuation of spiritual connections, which is why they maintain relationships with the deceased for so long, showing particular attention and care. This unusual custom highlights a deep respect for ancestors and a special perception of death as an important and inseparable part of the cycle of life. Such an approach allows them not only to preserve the memory of loved ones, but also to strengthen community bonds and pass traditions from generation to generation. At the same time, such practices raise numerous curious questions among outside observers. How is this possible? How sustainable are these rituals? And what do they mean for the self-perception of this people? Ultimately, constant interaction with the bodies of the deceased transforms into a unique culture that speaks of deep spiritual understanding, as well as a strong traditional system of engagement with the spiritual world and ancestors. This extraordinary custom demonstrates how little we still know about the spiritual and cultural foundations of the peoples inhabiting this remote island. How much new knowledge and discoveries remain hidden beyond our current understanding. It also highlights the importance of preserving and respecting such traditions, which not only shape the uniqueness of this people, but also help us better understand how faith and culture intertwine in their lives, creating a special spiritual world that is profound and multifaceted. Ceremonies associated with ancestor reverence are a special ritual that strengthens a person's deep connection to the past, rooted in the centuries-old traditions of these communities. The basis of these rites is the belief that the spirits of the deceased remain among the living and continue to influence their lives, demanding care, love, and respect. It is through such ceremonies that spiritual values are transmitted and the memory of those who have left this world is preserved, making them not only external formalities but also important spiritual acts. Before preparing for these mysterious rituals, each family gathers together, united in their collective desire to honor their ancestors. They carefully select their attire, special garments that reflect the uniqueness of each deceased and their status during life. These garments seem to become a living portrait, allowing the individualities and characters of the departed to be preserved, reminding us of their merits and roles in the life of their homeland. The time spent preparing is accompanied by ritual offerings imbued with profound meaning. But what lies behind this ancient custom? Why is it so important for the people? How does it influence their perception of life and death? One could speculate that such practices serve not only as expressions of respect for ancestors, but also as a kind of bridge between worlds, the living and the dead. They help understand how vital it is to remain connected to roots, to the history of one's people. For through these rituals, traditions, and values that are passed down through generations are cemented, becoming the foundation of cultural identity. From this arises the question, can such rituals become a true means of preserving history and heritage? And are they ultimately the key to understanding what links a person to ancient times and preserving in memory what makes a people unique? These reflections encourage us to think about the significance of respecting the past and how crucial the mystery hidden behind these rites is. After all, every action and every word spoken during the ceremony carries within it an energy and power transmitted through the ages. But these mysteries are not limited to just one people. There are many other customs around the world that hold equally mysterious secrets. Amazing, sometimes strange and unexplored, yet deeply wise in their own meaning. How much more is hidden behind the walls of culture and tradition, and how many astonishing discoveries await us in the future to introduce us to the richness of human history. Time will show how many more secrets remain beyond the veil of the past, and which of them will be revealed to modern researchers. But one thing is certain, they will have a long journey ahead to understand the value of these ancient practices and their contribution to shaping the cultural identity of peoples. Now let's move to a completely different corner of the globe, to the mysterious tribes living on remote islands off the coast of Sumatra. Among them, the Mentawai people stand out, a nation distinguished by their strictness and unique cultural identity. Here, in this extraordinary world where time seems to have stood still, traditions are preserved that amaze and inspire with their inimitability. These people adorn their bodies with complex and elegant tattoos, which serve not only as decoration, but also as vital symbols of their spiritual heritage. Each tattoo is like a book, telling stories of their fates intertwined with the destinies of ancestors and the surrounding nature. The process of applying these patterns is a special ritual, full of power and symbolism, because for the Mentawai, it is not merely an aesthetic procedure, but a sacred act. This ritual is a way of connecting a person with their spiritual essence, a method of internalizing energy and strength to serve as protectors of their soul. Every pattern is not a random line, but a carefully thought-out symbol reflecting the wearer's character, status, or life path. And importantly, through these symbols, knowledge, oral traditions, and cultural values are transmitted from generation to generation. Paintings on their skin are not just decorations, but a kind of manifesto of their inner world, an indication of their belonging to an ancient tradition, its bearer and keeper. Therefore, tattooing is not merely an act of beauty, but a sacred ritual in which they invest their soul and strength to preserve eternal heritage. Such practice gives these people a sense of connection to the past, their identity and uniqueness. But tattoos are not the only factors shaping the lifestyle and distinctiveness of the Mentawai. A unique feature of this people is also the modification of their teeth. Men and women sharpen or lower their teeth to sharp cones, resembling tin spikes or sharp pikes. This practical step symbolizes their status and strength within the tribe, and also serves as a way to intimidate enemies and protect themselves from evil spirits, which, according to their beliefs, can harm them in the spiritual world. These rituals date back to deep antiquity and are preserved despite the pressures of modern civilization and globalization, which threaten to destroy many traits of folk cultures. That is why the Mentovi so steadfastly preserve their customs, passing them down from generation to generation, despite all external influences. Their faith in the power of ancestors, respect for traditions, and harmony with nature help to maintain their unique identity in a world where many cultures are disappearing like dust particles from the map. How do these people manage to preserve their inner values and traditions amid the all-encompassing advance of modern civilization? It can be assumed that the secret of their resilience lies in their deep respect and reverence for their ancestors, in their desire to live in harmony with the surrounding world and nature. These principles are lost in most modern societies, but among the Mentovi, they remain sacred and alive. Perhaps it is precisely their connection to the spiritual world, their belief in the power of ancient rituals, and their striving to preserve their uniqueness that help them not to lose their identity. Ultimately, everything they do is not merely about following traditions for their own sake, but an effort to maintain a link with the forces that have long governed their fate. Behind this lies not only a cult of ancestors, but also deeper layers of meaning, raising questions about what spiritual heritage truly is and why it is so important in the modern world. These mysteries remain unexplored, emphasizing the infinity of the world, a realm full of secrets and unexplored horizons waiting for explorers and seekers. Humanity's history contains many mysterious and wondrous pages, including legends and facts about peoples who have long vanished from the face of the earth or preserved their unique traditions in remote corners of the planet. It's fascinating to consider how many such tribes, hidden deep within wild nature, still remain on our planet. These peoples hold vast amounts of secrets, wisdom, and rich rituals that have long faded into the past, and only occasionally do their secrets begin to shimmer through the veil of time. It is precisely these little-known cultures that continue to live, for their customs and rituals are like an invisible bridge connecting the present with antiquity. deep times when humans were closer to natural forces and mysterious magical beliefs. The most captivating of all is the mysterious story of a mummy culture existing in the mountainous regions of Papua, an area seemingly surrounded by clouds and covered with dense tropical forests. In places where mountain peaks stretch high into the sky and clouds constantly shroud the slopes, live the Caraway and Dani peoples. These tribes are carriers of very ancient traditions and beliefs that not only have not disappeared, but have been preserved to the present day. They created a unique ritual that connects them with their ancestors, the mummification ceremony, allowing them to maintain a living connection with relatives who have passed away and revered leaders. When a chieftain died, his body was not simply buried in the ground or stored underground, as is common in most cultures. Instead, it was mummified through complex rituals involving smoke, various medicinal herbs, and special oils. These substances, according to the people's belief, had the power to preserve the human soul within the body, thus ensuring its protection and presence even after death. This process, clearly more than just physical, held spiritual significance, emphasizing the importance of the belief that death is not an end, but a continuation, allowing the spirit to remain with descendants and serve as their wise guide. Each mummy became a symbol of the entire life, a bearer of wisdom, strength, and stories from long ago, gaining the status of a sacred object assigned a special role within the community. These mummies are kept in specially designated dwellings or huts, sometimes located in sacred places, carefully guarded and surrounded by a particular atmosphere. For community members, such rituals and fragments of the past are not merely ceremonies or monuments. They are perceived as living members of the family community, whom they turn to for advice with special respect and reverence. Ancient sages and traditionalists believe that mummified ancestors help guide and protect them in difficult times, especially when choosing a leader or facing the threat of war. But how exactly did these people, so distant from Western civilizations, manage to establish such a profound spiritual connection with the deceased, so strong that it endures to this day? Perhaps the answer lies in their unique faith that the spirits of chiefs and ancestors continue to exist, participate in the life of the tribe, and are ready to defend it from threats. Even more so, that death is merely a transition to another world, and that the memory of relatives and ancestors awaits consolidation and continuation through rituals passed down from generation to generation. What secrets lie behind these rites, and what underpins their faith? What precisely connects the living with the dead, making their separation impossible? These questions fascinate scientists and researchers who seek to unravel the sacred codes of these practices, yet no definitive answer has been found. Sometimes it seems that this mystery is like an endless abyss, where each new discovery only raises more questions. Why these rituals have endured, and how the belief in the vitality of the spirit helps strengthen the unity and power of the tribe. In today's world, full of technological innovations and widely accepted norms, knowledge of such practices seems almost fantastical. Are there still places on Earth where ancient traditions related to ancestor worship and maintaining spiritual connections are still alive and continue to exist despite everything? This question both troubles and fascinates because each such find is like a rare and precious gemstone of knowledge about human origins and spiritual roots. New discoveries help us better understand how our ancient ancestors perceived fate, life, and death, and what customs and rituals they used to maintain a connection with the invisible world and those who have crossed the boundary of mortal time. One more example is the mysterious characteristics of the peoples inhabiting the territory of Papua. Within this region, where nature seems to have melded perfectly with humanity in an impeccable symbiosis, truly mysterious traditions are preserved, as if frozen in time. Deep within the tropical forests and on mountain slopes, tribes are hidden, among which the Asmat stand out most notably. These tribes, isolated and stationary, cut off from the rest of the world, continued to adhere to strange and eerie customs that had persisted since the mid-20th century. And what is particularly astonishing is that these traditions were an integral part of their culture, intertwined with their entire philosophy of life, worldview, and way of living. The indigenous people believed that paying attention to the bodies of enemies captured in battle and performing rituals related to cannibalism were not merely acts of cruelty, they held profound meaning. In their view, by consuming parts of their defeated foes, they absorbed their strength, the so-called spiritual heritage, and wisdom, which helped them become stronger, defend themselves, and strengthen their tribe. They believed that even the heads of enemies taken in combat and the consumption of body parts were not simply acts of brutality, but rather a sacred ritual linking the living with the spirits of the dead, and more broadly, with the spirits of ancestors. At that time, such practices were seen as acts of empowerment, embodying faith in protection and the well-being of the entire community. These rituals reinforced internal cohesion, creating a sense of spiritual connection that was beyond the understanding of outsiders. In their minds, cannibalism and headhunting weren't vices, but sacred acts, meant to ensure protection, preserve strength, and transmit wisdom from generation to generation. However, as tempting as it might be to believe that these ancient practices still exist today, in the reality of the modern world, such rituals have long been prohibited and condemned. Legislation, humanitarian norms, and human rights have rendered them unacceptable and dangerously perilous. Despite this, the history of these tribes remains a vivid reminder of how diverse and mysterious life itself is, and how rich our shared cultural and spiritual heritage can be, even if hidden from the eyes of the civilized world. Thus, the world still holds enclaves and evidence of ancient rituals, practices, and beliefs capable of astonishing the imagination and offering new insights into human origins. In each such case, be it mysterious mummies in the jungles or archaic rituals among highland tribes, there lies a part of our collective history waiting for its moment to be revealed and to teach us something important about our very beginnings. Within this abundance of unsolved mysteries lies an inexhaustible source of inspiration for those who are unafraid to look to the roots and understand how faith, traditions, and customs have shaped the image of human culture over millennia. Government institutions, recognizing the sharpness of the problem and the danger of returning to ancient customs, are taking decisive measures to completely eradicate these old traditions and rituals preserved in certain remote areas. However, despite active efforts to eliminate them, in the most secluded corners, such as Popo, where the influence of modern civilization has yet to fully penetrate, forms of these customs may still persist and transform, hidden from outsiders' eyes. These covert practices often remain beyond the reach of official structures and researchers, raising many questions and reflections. What specific reasons underlie these mysterious and sometimes eerie rituals? Do they have a right to exist within the context of modern notions of culture and morality? Perhaps these rites have deep roots in mythological beliefs and ancient faiths of the local peoples, passed down from generation to generation like relics of the past, retaining their power and significance to this day. Many researchers speculate that something more significant lies behind these traditions, part of a complex system of beliefs in which concepts of life, death, and spiritual connection intertwine in a single cycle, reflecting the worldview and outlook of the indigenous inhabitants of these lands. In this context, it seems possible that among us, there are still tribes and communities that continue to perform these rituals, albeit in secrecy, to protect them from outsiders' eyes and the misunderstandings of the modern world. Unfortunately, answers to all these questions remain uncertain, hiding numerous mysteries and unsolved secrets. It is these secrets of the ancient tribes of Papua that attract researchers, archaeologists, and adventurers, for whom unraveling the mysteries of the past becomes an irresistible passion. The world we live in seems to have faded into the background of history, covered by layers of time and oblivion. But at its depths, countless secrets still lie hidden, awaiting their revelation. Now, it is worth paying special attention to another important and highly dramatic fact from our region's history. The Bloody Coup, recorded in chronicles as one of the darkest and most sinister events of the 20th century. In the heart of Southeast Asia, in distant and mysterious Indonesia, a tragedy occurred in the 60s that still causes shivers among those who study or simply know about that period. In 1960, a sudden attempt at a communist-related coup led to a series of major events and tragedies, plunging the country into chaos. This chaos was not limited to political disputes. It escalated into mass violence, engulfing the entire nation, and resulted in an invisible flow of bloodshed and terrible murders. Within just a few months, from September to December of the same year, according to official estimates, between 500,000 and 3 million people lost their lives to repression. These tragic events were called the Bloody Coup, and they left a deep and heavy mark on the fate of the national people. They raised numerous questions about the nature of power, the limits of humanity, and how it could have happened in a country previously perceived as multicultural and promising. This painful experience prompts reflection on the reasons such brutal reprisals become possible in human society and on the lessons that could reasonably be learned from this horrifying chapter of history. Those who actively participated in this tragedy were once part of the machinery of murder and violence, and now move freely among people who lost their loved ones as a result of those bloody events. They may try to justify their actions or find some meaning in them, turning memories of those horrors into something resembling pride in their involvement in a certain part of history. In the documentary film titled The Act of Murder, a terrifying picture unfolds before the viewer. Details of those bloody events are shown, along with the mechanics of the tragedy and seemingly justifying reasons with which these individuals attempt to explain their deeds. As frightening as it is, some of them find the strength to transform their crimes into a kind of justification, recognizing their pride in participating in a historical retribution. This fact raises many questions about how such immorality and cruelty can arise in human souls. Do they have sincere reasons or beliefs that, in their view, can justify such terrible and inhumane violence? It is difficult to find answers to such questions. They are avoided or left unanswered, for the topic of dark pages of the past remains forever shrouded in a fog of ambiguity. The dense atmosphere of fear and anxiety that prevailed at those times still hangs like an unresolved shadow over society, forever leaving a mark on the collective memory. This is just one of many mysteries and difficult questions surrounding the history of this bloody coup. What forces and interests stood behind all this violence? Perhaps behind the scenes, a more complex, intricate game was unfolding, involving the intertwined and intersecting interests of both local elites and international players. Forces that were rarely visible on the surface, but exerted significant influence on the course of events. All these aspects and versions remain subjects of discussion, research, and reflection, as the truth is often hidden behind 9 locks and repeatedly reshaped by the winds of time. The shadows of past years continue to slowly, but inevitably, hang over Indonesian society, like ghosts of a long-gone era, leaving behind tragic traces and unanswered secrets. Many residents of this country still live under the weight of the legacy of those terrible events, which forever remained in history as tragic chapters, raising numerous questions and doubts. How much more remains hidden behind such a dense veil of time? How many secrets and unknown facts await their moment to be revealed, to be uncovered, and allow us to understand the true depth and complexity of this past? Each new perspective on these events not only sheds light on certain aspects, but also opens up new, even deeper facets, forcing us to ponder the fragility of human civilization and how easily humans can revert from sophistication to barbarism when circumstances favor it. At this moment, our imagination is transported to another, no less mysterious world, connected with the enigmatic boat peoples, who hide their ancient traditions and secrets. Among these peoples, the Bajo stand out, a unique and mysterious ethnic group living across Southeast Asia, on numerous islands and archipelagos. These people, truly obsessed with the sea, lead their lives in complete harmony with the vast ocean and seas, which are both their home and source of livelihood. The Bajo are not just a name for an ethnicity. They represent an entire civilization shaped over centuries under the influence of the maritime environment. They continue to live on their boats, which for them are not merely transportation, but a true extension of their existence. Occasionally, they set foot on land only when necessary, for trade, exchange, or rest. But mostly their life is spent sailing the boundless waters, where each wave and every crevice in the sea becomes part of their world. Even today, their existence remains shrouded in many mysteries, which remain unrevealed to most outsiders and modern researchers. even those trying to understand their way of life. How have these sea nomads managed to adapt so effortlessly to life on the water when for most people, the ocean and seas are more a dangerous element than a peaceful refuge? Do they hold secrets, special knowledge, or skills that allow them to survive in conditions that seem almost insurmountable for an ordinary person? After all, the Bajo can dive to depths of up to 30 meters without any special equipment, holding their breath for up to 5 minutes, which truly seems a fantastical and mystical phenomenon. Their children learn to swim even before they start walking, absorbing the magic of the marine world and becoming an integral part of it. The sea becomes their home, a source of life and freedom. But such a life also has its price. Many members of the Bajo suffer from seasickness when on land, experiencing severe dizziness, nausea, and weakness, as if their bodies have not yet fully adapted to solid ground. This strange condition raises many questions, including about their origins. Were they descendants of ancient sailors who once set out into the ocean to explore its endless expanses? Or perhaps their physiological features are the result of long-term adaptation to the sea, making their bodies somewhat extraordinary and almost mystical? Their bodies seem to have acquired a special physique, durable, resistant to stress, and at the same time slightly different from typical human characteristics. At first glance, it appears that these people live in a remarkable symbiosis with the ocean, and their existence is an inseparable part of this incomprehensible underwater world, filled with mysteries and undiscovered possibilities. However, the mysteries of this people are far from all that there is. Their culture harbors answers to questions about ancient knowledge they may possess. What secrets of navigation, what ancient traditions and rituals help them find their way across the seas? Knowledge lost or forgotten by modern sailors? Perhaps they hold within them ancient skills and secrets passed down through generations. Knowledge lost even in open sea navigation and modern technology. They know what allows them to sense the ocean and anticipate its events, and these insights may lie much deeper than they seem at first glance. Immersing ourselves in this mysterious world, we cannot help but ask ourselves, how many more hidden treasures lie within the vast expanses of the oceans, waiting to be uncovered by the world someday? Indonesia remains a land of many enigmas, ancient traditions, and rich cultural layers that conceal within themselves limitless opportunities for exploration and discovery. Its rich heritage intertwines legends and myths, religious rites, and unique customs, many of which have been preserved for centuries and remain timeless. When you think of this country, images of the beautiful white beaches of Bali shimmering in the sun, magnificent hotels and resorts, and the taste of delicious exotic fruits naturally come to mind. However, behind this bright and attractive picture lie deeper and more mysterious layers of culture and history. Each island of Indonesia is a universe unto itself, with its own identity, traditions, and language, elements that can surprise and confuse even the most seasoned travelers and explorers. In this diverse and numerous world live people with unique customs and beliefs, many of which remain a mystery even to the inhabitants themselves, not to mention newcomers discovering the region for the first time. Imagine how elements and knowledge known only to a select part of the population or inherited from generation to generation could exist within such a rich cultural palette. Knowledge often inaccessible to outsiders' eyes or minds. This elusive blend of traditions and legends makes Indonesia a truly unique corner of the world, where each island, even after centuries, continues to guard its secrets, hidden beneath layers of centuries-old history and cultural polyphony. Indonesia is not just a vast landmass or a territorial entity on the map. It represents a unique and diverse world in itself, filled with deep historical roots, various traditions, and ancient beliefs embedded in the hearts of its peoples. The country is a true tapestry, woven from centuries-old rituals and ceremonies, encapsulating the wisdom of generations, passed down orally and preserved through the ages. Hidden within its cultural heritage are treasures that become especially valuable for mature individuals who have faced numerous life challenges and hardships. Such people often turn to what is left in their memory and heart to understand and extract something useful from this centuries-old wisdom. While the younger generation tends to view the world superficially, with less depth and attention to ancient traditions, It is the older generations who possess the wisdom and understanding that life is not only about material wealth or quick pleasures, but also about spiritual values handed down through the centuries. One of the main lessons we can learn from this rich and astonishing culture is the importance of respecting traditions and beliefs, for it is they that shape a unique outlook on life, the surrounding world, and one's place within it. Have you ever wondered how many mysterious elements are hidden in the rituals performed in the most remote villages of Indonesia? These rituals, often seeming simple at first glance, carry deep meanings and philosophical insights. They reflect the people's understanding of balance in life, the connection between humans and nature, and the supernatural forces, whether they believe in the existence of invisible boundaries between the world of humans and the spiritual realm. Each of these rituals is not just a ceremony, it is an entire chain of symbols and traditional beliefs that connect each participant to their history and culture. This richness is particularly evident on islands like Java, renowned for its magnificent temples and temple complexes rising above lush landscapes, as well as on Sumatra, where the raging natural forces are full of wild and primal power. In every corner of this country lie unique keys to unlocking the secrets of its people and their spiritual values. Interestingly, not only customs and legends are preserved here, but also entire secrets passed down from generation to generation, safeguarding the history and uniqueness of each detail of this extraordinary country. These mysteries and legends, often shrouded in clouds of secrets and myths, make Indonesia a kingdom of enigmas that can be explored throughout a lifetime, as one seeks to understand its profound meanings. If you imagine that one of you had the opportunity to visit this distant land, what facts or events would you consider to be the most striking? What you saw or heard would become a real revelation, a shock, or perhaps a new source of reflection for you? Which aspects of this mysterious culture would you like to explore in more detail? Since every part of it, every word, and every image is filled with a history that often extends beyond ordinary understanding. Your questions may serve as a starting point for further research, discoveries, and new perspectives. They will help you delve into the uncharted depths of Indonesian culture, broaden your horizons, and understand how rich and diverse this heritage is, carefully preserved and passed down from generation to generation.